Another way to create shapes is to draw them freehand using the pen tool. So I'm going to show you how to do that in this lesson. Let's open up After Effects, start up a new comp. There you go. And now I'm going to click on the pen tool and watch what happens. Nothing's here right now, but I click on it and boom, you get the same kind of things that you get if you're going to use a shape. That's because we have no layer selected. If you use the pen tool and click on someplace where no layer is selected, it automatically creates a shape layer. Let me show you what happens if you click on an existing layer. I'm going to go down here and make a new layer. We'll make a new solid layer here. There you go. And now if I take the pen tool, you notice that there is no fill and stroke showing up here, just Roto Bezier. That's because After Effects sees that we've got this layer selected. And if we start drawing on it, we're not going to draw a shape per se. We're going to draw what's called a mask. And I cover masks in upcoming lessons, but I'll give you a quick taste of what a mask is here now. I have the pen tool selected. I've Roto Bezier checked so that when I just click, and click, it's going to make a curve. So I click once, click again, click again. As I go around here, I'm making this apparent shape. I'm going to close it here, and it's going to be kind of an oval when I'm done, but it's not going to be a shape. It's going to be a mask. It's going to let this part of the layer show through, and it's going to not let this part of the layer show. I'm going to click it here and finish the curves. And now you see that it's masking this area of that layer. This other part here is not visible. If I turn on transparency, you can see that's the only part of the layer that's visible. That's called a mask. And we talk about masks later. So I don't want to make a mask now. I want to make a new shape. So I'm going to click away from this to not select it, and I'm going to turn off its eyeballs so we don't have it sort of bothering us in the background there. But there is a layer there still, but it's not selected. So if I have the pen tool now and there's no layer selected, I got these options, the fill and the stroke and the Roto Bezier. I'm not going to worry about the fill and the stroke because you can always change them later. So now I'm just going to draw something with the pen tool. Roto Bezier kind of simplifies the process. This means that you just click and click and click, and every single time you click, you add a curve automatically. So I'll click once. And notice what happened, that one click, and the shape layer appears with all these properties in it. I'll close it down so it doesn't get so obtrusive there. Now let's click again, click the third one. Now they're going to be a curve, and it fills it in with the fill that we've got here and the stroke around the outside. So the one over here, it's going to try to fill it in. There's the gradient inside there with the fill. There we go. It can kind of go in on itself like this. Out here again. Just as long as I keep on clicking, it'll keep on trying to create these curves. And when I click on this little guy, the starting point, then that tells After Effects that I'm done. All right, I've created this shape. Now I want to show you the difference between creating a shape using the pen tool and creating a shape using the shape tool. Let me open this up here. It has a path, a stroke, a gradient, all these things that the other ones had, all the same kind of transform properties, but the path is a little different here. It has only one property. It's called path, oddly enough. Let me create a shape so you can see the difference. I'll go over to the shape tool, select the ellipse because it's the simplest one. I've got this layer selected, so I'm going to add the ellipse to this layer. I'll just draw a little ellipse there like that. There's the ellipse. I'll open it up. Let's take a look at its ellipse path compared to this path down here. See it has a size and a position, but no path property. This little path property, when you create a shape using the pen tool, is really slick. I'll show you what I mean. It lets you do all kinds of fun things. So I'm going to click on that. We're going to make some changes here. I'm going to keyframe this by turning on keyframe. So this shape now is keyframed that way. Go in a little bit farther here time-wise. Now if I click on this with the selection tool, it's going to move the entire shape because all these things are square boxes like that. If I click on just the shape though, the word shape, these guys have a little bounding box around it, and I can start changing the individual points here, like so. Make these little changes like that, whatever I want, drag it around, make these changes to this thing. If I want to move the whole thing around, I go back and click on the entire shape, move it around as well. There we go, I'm moving the layer around here. You click on the shape and move it around. There we go, that's better. All right, so now I've made some changes to the shape, and notice the keyframe shows up here. You can morph the shapes like that. That's something you can't do with a standard shape layer, but you can do if you draw it freehand like this. And again, we also have these little controls here for the gradient. Those guys can be animated as well. So this has all the features of a shape layer, but has this additional cool thing of being able to animate the shape, morph it over time. So that's the basic process to creating a shape with the pen tool. But I want to show you how to create a shape with the pen tool with Roto Bezier turned off. So let me just go up here a little bit. I'm going to close this guy down, turn off the eyeball. We'll make a new shape on a new layer. So no layers are selected now. Click on the pen tool again. Notice that the fill and the stroke show up again. I'm going to turn off Roto Bezier. When you make a shape with the pen tool and you don't have Roto Bezier selected, generally you click and drag. You click and drag to give handles to your shape. They allow you to control the Bezier curves around the shape. Kind of creating a convoluted shape here. I agree, but there you go. And I'll close it off like that. Those are the handles that are showing up here. You can move the handles around. That's the difference between working with Roto Bezier versus not working with Roto Bezier. You get these little handles here. All right, let me go back to the Roto Bezier so you can see the difference. I'll turn off the eyeball for this one, close it down. We'll go to the one that we made with the Roto Bezier tool, turn it on. I want to try to get handles here, but you notice there aren't any handles. That's because this was made with the Roto Bezier turned on. So how do you then get things to kind of change the nature of that curve there? Well, you do it with a different tool. You go to the pen tool, you see there's a convert vertex tool. Well, normally when you convert a vertex, it changes it from, let's say, a Roto Bezier handles and breaks the handles. So here, though, there aren't any handles. So if you use the convert vertex tool here, it has a little different behavior. I'm going to hold on the Alt or the Option key, and it turns into that change vertex tool. If I drag left and right like this, I'm just dragging left and right, then you can see that the curve changes. There aren't any handles there, but the nature of the curve changes. Click on this one over here, and it too will change. That's how it works. So if you want to change the shape of a curve that you made with the Roto Bezier, you do have some options, not as many options as you have if you use the regular pen tool without Roto Bezier turned on, but that's the basic thing that goes on there. So that's how you create shapes using the pen tool, and also how you can morph those shapes, change those shapes over time, which is one little advantage that you have when you use the pen tool to create a shape instead of the shape tool to create a shape.